Hello YouTube and welcome back to another 3D ROS tutorial. In this one I'll show you how to create an enemy that moves from point to point just like shown here. So I'll just restart this level and I'll show you how that's done. Okay, so in the last tutorial we just had this BP underscore enemy that can detect when it's in this zone, and we used level sequence to make them go backwards and forwards. But now we want some basic enemy AI so they go from one point to another point and we can have them patrolling or to investigate what's going on. To do this we're going to need some enemy AI logic. So I'm just going to create a new folder called enemy AI, open it up, and I'm just going to right click and add a blueprint class. And under all classes I'm just going to type in AI controller and select that, and this is just going to be our logic for the enemy. So I'm just going to call this BP underscore AI underscore controller. Now we want our actual enemy that's going to move. So I'm going to right click again, blueprint class, and I'm going to create a character, and I'm just going to call this BP underscore enemy underscore AI character, and open that up. And now we have this, which is the basic capsule for our enemy. We just want to go into mesh, and I'm going to add a skeletal mesh. I'll just choose this one for example and move it down. Now if you don't have these skeletal meshes, you're going to want to import the third person character kit. To do this you just go add import, add feature or content pack, and then from there you want to add the third person content pack, and this will just give you the character skeletal meshes. And with our character we're just going to select the character at the top, and I'm going to make sure AI controller class is the one we created. So if we look back, it was called BP underscore AI controller, so I'm just going to find that in the list, BP underscore AI controller, and there we go. Compile and save that. So now for this character to move, we're going to want a path, so we're going to have to define the path, and to do this we want a nav mesh. So type in place actors nav mesh, and we find the nav mesh volume, and we place that in our scene, and we just want to scale this over the area where the player is allowed to walk, or the enemy rather. So I'm just going to increase this to just encompass our level. I'm also going to make sure it's high enough to encompass this run up area, so just bring that up a bit more. And now under build in the drop down I'm just going to build paths. So now navigation build is complete. If we press P on the keyboard, this is the area, everything in green is where the enemy can run. So now with that set up, I'm going to go back to the character. Under mesh I'm just going to assign an animation class, and that animation class is just going to be the third person anim blueprint, like that. Now if we open up our event graph, we want to make it move from one point to another. To do this, to make it clean, I'm just going to use an event, and this event I'm just going to call it patrol. Now if we drag this in, and then on event, so when this event is called we want a patrol. So how do we do that? Well, Unreal Engine has a AI move node, so type in AI move to and add that. Now we have this. So for our pawn, that's going to be our character itself, so the enemy that we want to move. So we're just going to right click and type in self, and you want to get a reference to self, and I'm just going to plug that into pawn. Now for AI move to, we can put specific coordinates for each one, or we can use a target actor. So what target actors are is, if you type in target here, we can add target points, and we can basically place these in our scene, and we can say we want the enemy to move to here, we want the enemy to move to there, and we want the enemy to move up here. So now we have 3 target points where the enemy is going to patrol between. So to set that up, I'm just going to create a variable, and this variable is going to just be target underscore 01. And under variable type, I'm just going to make this a target point and add it as an object reference. Compile and save that. I'm just going to duplicate that again for another point, and we'll call it all2, and then another one for our final one, and I'm going to call this O3. And I'm just going to make these variables public. That way we can see it in the actual editor in these details panel. So now target 1, we're going to move to target actor, so we'll get target 1 and make that equal to our target actor. Now I'm just going to copy this twice for our other 2 points, so Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and change the target actor each time, so target actor 2, target actor 3. Now if we compile and save that, and we add our enemy character into the scene, and we play the scene, it doesn't move. So what we need to do is we need to go into our enemy, and we're going to add a pawn sensing. And this is just the sensing of our character for movement, for sight, for sound, etc. So if I go into the viewport, compile and save, we can see this is our pawn sensing. So the different colours for the volumes designate different things like hearing threshold, sight threshold, etc. The only thing I'm going to change for now is the peripheral vision, because I think 90 is a bit too much. So I'm going to lower this down to something like 55. And that's how the character can see. And as you can see, our mesh is actually facing the wrong way. So I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees. So compile and save that. And now if we try and play again, the enemy still doesn't move. And the reason for that is we haven't added it on event play. This only happens when this event calls. So to do this on event play, we can just plug this straight into here. However, I only want this to happen when the character is in patrol mode. So for now, I'm just going to event begin play, and just going to type in patrol event, and that's just going to call this patrol event here. But later on event begin play, or on tick, we're going to select which state the character is in, because this is going to change throughout the game. So if it's getting distracted, it's going to be in a distraction state. But for now, we're just going to have it constantly in patrol state. So if we compile and save that and press play, as you can see, our character tries to run at different points. Now the reason the character just ran into the wall there and didn't have a specific point, it tried to run to the 0 origin point. And the reason it did that is because we haven't set up our targets. So target 1 here in the details panel, again you need to make sure under the character blueprint that these are public, so this eye is visible. Now in the viewport, I'm just going to target 1, and I'm going to press this eyedropper, and I'm going to select point 1, or you can select it from this drop down menu, so I'm going to do that for the other 2. So now with them selected, hit play. Now it moves between them 2 points. You might have noticed there though that the character only moved to the final point, and the reason for this is we've set these up one after the other. It doesn't matter if there's success or fail, so it'll call this and then instantly call the next one and forget about the first one. What we want to do is on success, so this is when it has reached that destination point, only then can it continue onto the next section. So I'm going to just break the top pins, and then on success do that, and then we can also just loop it back round for now. Or to keep things easier, I'm just going to patrol event, and then it'll just go back to patrol event. So now if we hit play, it should move to the first point, the second point, and then the third point, and now it's going to loop back round to the first. So now we set up the basic character enemy movement. In the next episode I'm going to reincorporate our detection mechanic and go through setting up different states other than patrol. So we're going to have patrol, distracted, and then when the enemy sees you, that it's going to be in a combat state. So that will be the next tutorial. I hope you found this one helpful. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified of the next video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.